Shalom. I'm going to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHWASHI, BaHa, QADASH. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Now, I want to say this real quick. The Grape Doctrine is not a precept of men. Great Millstone did not add that to the law. All right, the elders and apostles, the elder King Masha, because this devil Vocab, he found a clip where the elder mentioned about ravishing the so-called white women in the kingdom, which we know he was referring to spoils of war. When you make war with a nation and you see a beautiful woman amongst that nation and you have a desire to her, you spoil her, you take her captive. All right, and the apostle went into that. It's clearly right in the scriptures, but it's like when we bring these things out, they act as if we added that into the law or we came up with that law. Great Millstone didn't make up these laws, man. These are not precepts of men. These are written down in the Torah. This was what was handed to Masha, or aka Moses, on Mount Sinai. All right, but they treat us like as if we wrote these laws into the Torah. So anyway, I'm just responding to Elder Apostle Tahar's response to Vocab's video. Some one Westers can't wait to ravish Europeans. What a title. He knows how to sensationalize with his titles. When it comes to demonizing us. But I just want to put that out there. Since we've been dealing with this controversial topic, a lot of dudes get sensitive about it. But just understand, we did not write that into the law. All right, it's in the law, and the apostles just so happen to bring it out. All right, people come with that question about it, and they break it down. It gets caught on camera, and people wrest their words and try to twist what they say to try to, find some kind of guilt or trip them up so that you can, incriminate them. And that was what the wicked scribes and Pharisees did with the Lord. But anyway, dealing with this particular subject, when you go into the law, and let's just revisit this law real quick. Because the Lord, he knows our nature. He knows man inside out because he made man. So I'm pretty sure the Lord had to, put this in our law so that we can govern these different type of matters, situations, in case it happens. All right, the Most High, come on, man. Y'all think the Most High is just like, he's not omniscient? He doesn't know all things? This is why this is in the law. All right. So if you take your emotions out, this is, dealing with, marriage relations, and it comes in different forms, different ways. All right. There are ways that are, prohibited. If you do it this particular way, you could be put to death. So this is Deuteronomy 22 and verse let me just go straight to the point. I'm gonna start at verse 25, dealing with grape, right? The controversial subject. And it says, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, so this woman is promised to a man, she's engaged, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. Because it was an act that was done against her. She didn't do the act. It was done against her. She knew she was promised to another man. It says, for as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field. So, they was in the countryside, away from, the city. So it would have been, nobody around. So nobody can really hear her. But she cried out anyway. And the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So, she screamed at the top of her lungs for him to stop. And he just keeps going. Of course, a man being, stronger naturally, he held her down and took it. All right. So it says, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So, that shows that it was not consensual. So she wasn't worthy of death. It was a crime committed against her. So you being a judge, you're gonna judge based on what the law say. The law says, put that man to death, because he had to have known that this was a woman who was promised to another man. Okay, but he went and did it anyway because he was burned in his lust, and that lust brought forth sin, and sin brings forth death. Verse 28. Now here's the scenario change. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, all right, that she's a young woman of a marriageable age, which is not betrothed, so she ain't promised to no man. Her father didn't have a particular guy that he planned on marrying his daughter to, right? So and she's been getting looked at by this particular individual. Whether he caught her working in the yard or something like that, or he may have been by and peeked through and saw her serving her father or relatives or whatever. So he been eyeing on her and schemed on her, and ended up she might have made a run, and he ended up catching her. And it says, and lay hold on her. And a lot of these dudes that get emotional and say that we're breaking it down wrong, they skip over this passage here. And lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found. So he took her by force. When it says lay hold, it means that he pretty much grabbed her up. All right. And the word used in this context is the same word or phrasing used in the previous chapter when it talks about that rebellious, stubborn son, who's gluttonous, and he's drinking and he doesn't want to work. He's lazy, disobedient, don't want to follow instructions. And according to the commandment, both the father and the mother are supposed to lay hold on him and bring him to the elders of the city so that he could be stoned. So if they're gonna both lay hold on him, that means what? That they're snatching him up, because he's not gonna go willingly. So it had to have been by force. So same thing. That's why this phrase is used here, and lay hold on her, because this man, he got aggressive and took it. All right. Whether she was with it or not, he took her and lie with her, and they be found. They be found out that they did the do. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. All right. Now it's important to understand that the reason why he has to pay a fine is because This dude was he was rash. He acted real rash, following after his flesh. Now you don't know that woman that you just took and laid down with. You don't know if you're gonna hate her in the long run. You know, he might have took it, and when he got a taste of it, it wasn't all that to him. And then he had that post nut clarity. Excuse my language, but I have to, we men here. But he had that clarity afterwards. It was like, man, that wasn't all that, man. The hell. But guess what? You already done did it. So now you got to go and pay a visit to her father, and you got to pay that man, and then you got to marry her. So a woman that you just took and laid down with her because you was highly attracted to her, but you see that she wasn't what you thought she was, you still got to deal with that for the rest of your life because you moved real rash. So this law was actually in place to deter men from making that decision. And this is what we've been saying all along. If you're gonna take a woman in that fashion, this is how you want to marry a chick, all right. But you better be ready to you better be ready for the long haul. And you might not even like this chick. So the fine was what, 50 shekels of silver, which that's back then, what that's worth, that's a lot. All right, the father, he ate good off of that. And she shall be his wife because he humbled her. And we know the Hebrew word is ainah, you know, which it means to deal harshly with. Let me go into it. I'm gonna finish the verse and then I'm gonna go into it. It says, he may not put her away all his days. All right. So let's look up that word humble. And we see that the word is ainah, and it says to be occupied, be busy with, afflict, oppress, humble, be afflicted, be bowed down. All right, he humbled her, he afflicted her. Now down here, say what? Chasten self, deal harshly with, defile, exercise, force. They go the word force there. Okay. Gentleness, humble, hurt, ravish. They go that word, ravish. Okay. And that's basically what he did. Let me see something real quick. Scroll down. All right, now I want to focus on this real quick. All right, it says Aina Asha. Aina Asha, which Asha means woman or wife. All right. But when you look up that term, compressed feminum, I believe that's Latin, it says generally by force. And then it gives you the precepts. Genesis 34:2, Deuteronomy 22:24, 29. And that's the verse that that I just read. All right. Judges 19:24, 25. All right. So let's look up that term, compressed feminine. Bear with me real quick. Do a quick Google search. All right. And it's in the Latin. All right. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it like this. Copy paste. Do that. Google Translate. All right, Latin to the English. So I'm gonna post. Yep, paste. And what does it say? Pressed the female. Okay, so you humbled her by, you pressed her. Okay, she didn't see it coming, and you just said, "I'm finna take it," and you pressed on her, man. You used your strength and humbled her. But guess what? It came with a price, because now you got to go to her father. Her father ain't gonna like what he heard, but instead of putting you to death, because Jake these days are emotional. Jake said you do that to his daughter, he gonna kill you. So that's why it ain't wise to do that in this society. But back then, he couldn't kill you because then he would be a murderer. Because his daughter, even though that man took his daughter, she wasn't betrothed to another man. Now he would have been justified in putting the man to death if she was promised to another man. So the father instead would have to be like, all right, you know, I didn't have you in mind as far as who I wanted to marry my daughter to, but since you jumped the gun and you took that, she was doing well in my house, but I guess you took it upon yourself. So you know what? You got to pay up 50 shekels right into my hand, and you had to come with it. And now she's yours, and you can't ever put her away. You can't divorce her, none of that. All right, she have an attitude with you. Since that moment, you don't like her. Well, too bad. You took it. She's now you stuck with that. This is why that was added. This is why that was not added, but this is why that's a part of the law, which helped deter men from doing it. Okay, and y'all and all you dudes who come against us, whether you be uh, uh these Christians that come up against us, Vocab, or even these other Israelite groups that talk about this, y'all always leave this part out or act like we don't cover this side of it. Be fair. Admit that we bring out all the whole part of the law. So come on, man. And like I said, the reason why I'm mentioning how the man can actually grow to hate her, because when you read the scenario with Tamar and Amnon, which that was that dude was wicked. He had a lust demon on him to want to pop his own sister. But when he took it from her, it said that he immediately hated her. So why did he all of a sudden, after he went from longing for her, he had so much love for her and wanted to go into her, and then when he finally took it, all of a sudden he just started hating her, because that can happen. So in that case, which that was wicked, all right, and he was worthy of death. But let's say if they wasn't relatives or whatever, and that happened, um, he would still have to marry her. All right. Let's say Amnon wasn't David's other son; he was, a son from another family or whatever, and he did that to Tamar. Well, after doing that, he would have had to have went to King David and paid him 50 shekels, even though he grew a hatred for her after he took it. He would still have to marry her, and he would not be able to put her away. So this is what you got to understand when you read this law. All right, showing you that we didn't come up with this. We didn't add that in there. All right, this is not a precept of men. But these other groups and guys like Vocab, these, are contrarians. They like to make it as if, this is a great millstone doctrine. Like this is some precepts that we came up with, the elder apostles came up with, and added it to the word. All right. No, you're ashamed of the Most High's ways. That's your problem. But we're not ashamed of anything. We bring out whatever is in this word, because we know that the Most High, his ways are righteous. And the Lord, he made the statement, "For my ways are not your ways, neither are your thoughts my thoughts." His ways are higher than ours. Okay, so it is what it is. There's a reason why, these things are addressed in his law, because they happen. But you're going to demonize us because we bring it out. And we're not ashamed or afraid to bring it out. So that makes us, we're Grapists now. But anyway, I want to, do just a quick response on that. All right, they can keep playing, replaying that clip of the elder apostles going into it with Brother Polite when they was on 34th and 7. They can keep doing that. But all you're doing is making this ministry more hot, man. You can't do nothing against the truth before the truth. Okay? So I'm going to end off with that. Call Lord YAHAWASHI, Shalom.